and fellowship um, kind. So I just want to give you a little history. We got married in 1988, November of 1988. It's going to be 29 years. Um, in November. And I grew up as the only child, so I always got attention. Like I was treated like a king. My mom always, treated me like good food and the best of everything. Only child, royal treatment. After I got married, the royal treatment continued. My wife treated me royally. Center of the attention of everybody's attention, and I just enjoyed life. And 27 years ago, one cute, beautiful, scrawny, creepy, crawly creature came into our lives. That was our oldest daughter, Reshma. And it was, uninvited. One day she just shows up in our bedroom and just, everything changed. My wife, who's only for me, was not even looking at me. And all of a sudden, I lost my wife and I lost my life too. Like everything, there's no sleep, nothing. It's just the whole world changed, like completely. And all this baby does was drink milk and cry and input, output. And you're surprised the output is more than the input, It just completely changes your life. And Reshma is not here. But you're not prepared for it. It's just like, what happened? Like, there's no training for this, how to raise kids. And I always grew up as an only child, so I don't know anything about kids. And here you have this kid crying almost the whole night, and she's after her, and I was just wondering, what do I do? How do I cope with this? Like, I've got to go to work next day, and I hardly could sleep because of all the crying and like every 2 hours. So it completely, radically changed my life. And so, you have my parents, my dad, 6 siblings, my mom, 9 siblings, and then me, just 1, and then I have 4 kids. So we have this family units that just keep growing and multiplying, right? That's how Adam and Eve filled the earth. And I was just reading the book of Acts yesterday. I told you I'm going to keep this light. Let me see Acts, towards the end of Acts. Okay, Acts chapter 26. Here Paul is sharing his testimony. He's under trial. He's finished his trial under Felix, then under Festus. Now he's with Agrippa, and he's on trial, and he's presenting his case here. In verse 12 onwards of chapter 26, it says, "On one of these journeys I was going to Damascus with the authority and commission of the chief priests. About noon, O king, as I was on the road, I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, blazing around me and my companions. We all fell to the ground, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, 'Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads.'" You have this amazing supernatural thing that happens to Paul. He's on the road to Damascus. He's out there trying to persecute Christians. And this amazing things happen. I remember once long back, Vida was trying to share the gospel with me. I was as cold as ever. And she said, "Why are you so cold? It's like you don't love God." I said, "I don't even know if God exists. So, what do you mean love God?" And so she was trying to share the gospel with me, said, "Jesus died on the cross for you." And I said, how does that affect me? This one man, I don't even know who existed 2,000 years ago, he died. How can that have to do anything for me? And so I was kind of reasoning, and I was telling Vida, like Paul had this experience on the road to Damascus, I need to have an experience like that, where I know for sure that God is true. And strangely enough, from there we moved to the Middle East, and there was a friend of mine who did engineering with me. And when I joined as a freshman, he was in his third year. And when I finished, he was still in his third year. And this guy was into drugs and alcohol and everything. And I was a good guy. Okay, I was never into any of these things, and so I always considered myself as a good guy. And I meet him in Dubai. He had a Bible in his hand. I said, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going for a Bible study." I said, "You going for a Bible study?" It just doesn't make any sense. He said, "Oh, I've changed." I said, "You changed? What happened?" And he shares his testimony. He said, I was completely out of it. He was drunk and doped and everything else. And he was riding his motorcycle and was hit by a truck. And he was just about a few inches from the wheel of the truck, laying under the truck, and God speaks to him. He said, God spoke to me while I was under the truck and said, "I saved your life for a purpose. And I'm going to use you greatly for His kingdom." And so I said, "Wow, that's amazing! I want an experience like that, where God shows up and just talks to me." And so I started hanging out with him again, and he started taking me to church. He used to come home and pick us up and take us to church. That's how dedicated he was. And a few months later, I really had an encounter with the Lord. It wasn't dramatic, but God spoke to me right there in my bedroom. I was seeking, God spoke to me, and I received Jesus into my life. It was much later, 95. And so this testimony of Paul always reminds me of my arrogance, like, God needs to show Himself up, or I'm not going to have anything to do with God. And then let's read on. Verse 15. "Then I asked, 'Who are you, Lord?'" So he's asking, "Who are you, Lord?" He obviously knew this is something more than himself, more superior. "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting." Verse 16. "Now get up and stand on your feet. I have appeared to you to appoint you as a servant and as a witness to what you have seen of me and what I will show you." So here he gives him his purpose for life. I have appeared to you to appoint you as a servant and as a witness of what you have seen of me and what I will show you. I will rescue you from your own people and from the Gentiles. I will rescue you from your own people and from the Gentiles. I am sending you to them to open their eyes and turn them from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God, so that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. Kind of an important assignment, right? I'm going to send you to open their eyes. And turn them from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God. From the power of Satan to God. In 1 John 5, somewhere around verse 20, I think it says that you are the children of God, but all those who are not are under the control of the evil one. The rest of them are under the power of the evil one. And God gives Saul this assignment. Says, I want you to go and open the eyes of those people who don't see and take them off from the power of Satan and bring them into the kingdom of light. What an assignment he's given Paul. He says, you're going to go to the Gentiles and you're going to do this. And you have this amazing man. He wrote most of the New Testament. And in the book of Romans, if you turn to the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 17 onwards. Romans chapter 15, verse 17 onwards. It says, therefore I glory in Christ Jesus in my service to God. I will not venture to speak of anything except what Christ has accomplished through me. I don't want to speak of anything except what Christ has accomplished through me in leading the Gentiles to obey God by what I have said and done. In leading the Gentiles to obey God by what I have said and what I did. So he has this assignment from God himself. Jesus himself appears to him and said, I'm going to send you to the Gentiles. And I'm going to use you to set them free from the power of the devil and bring them into your light. And here Paul, almost three quarters of a way through his life, says, this is what I've accomplished. I've brought the Gentiles into the light to obey God by what I have said and by what I have done. Two things, by what I have said and by what I have done. His preaching was not just, okay, preach, teach, preach. No, by what he said and by what he did. He displayed the power of God to them. And then he says, by the power of signs and miracles through the power of the Spirit. So from Jerusalem all the way around to Illyricum, I have fully proclaimed the gospel of Christ. Like the then known world, Paul fully proclaimed the gospel of Christ. Isn't it amazing? We were there at Teen Challenge. These girls, bound in sin for many years. It was only girls. We ministered to the girls during their chapel time. They're bound in sin for many years, gone through all kinds of stuff in their lives. They're broken, they're beaten, they're abused, they're lost. But in the midst of this, they have hope. Christian de-addiction programs, I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? The drug rehab programs are the most successful programs. Because all other programs are using your self-will and just changing different things about yourself that helps you get rid of it, like Alcoholic Anonymous and all kinds of rehab programs. It's all about yourself and willpower and things like that. But here you have the power of God working in their lives that's setting them free. One girl that I prayed for, she was telling me of her homosexual lifestyle. She had a girlfriend and she said, I'm completely free of it. It's just completely set free. God has set me free. And these are some of the most difficult things. But God set her free. And she asked me, she actually came up to me for prayer on her shoulder. She couldn't lift her shoulder above this height. I just prayed for her, and right away she lifted it. She just started crying. She lifted her hands. She just started weeping. I just wanted to encourage the others, and I told her to share her testimony. Like, she couldn't even speak. She was like weeping. God sets people free amazingly, not just of their addictions, their physical problems, everything. God sets them free. It is so good to see them rejoicing in their freedom. The stories I hear, it's just like, man, how does a person go through this stuff? It just breaks my heart that people have to go through this stuff. And sometimes no fault of their own. People have to go through this stuff, and it's so, it gives me so much joy to see people set free. There's nothing like that. And, to continue the story of this little cute, scrawny, creepy, crawly creature. Good she's not here. So, they're so cute. You come back from work, she's all smiles, she's laughing and smiling at you, and wiggling her hands and and legs, and it's just, they're so happy to see you. And you gather them up, and slowly you learn to raise this child. And then we had the second child. It's a lot more easier, and the third child, and when we had our fourth, and that was Daniel. And they all so admire you. They want to be like you. They just love you till a certain age. I remember when I used to walk into the house, it was a big apartment that we had in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. And he used to hear the door. Danny used to hear the door, and he used to come looking for me. I used to hide behind the door after I came in, and he used to look all around. Then I used to whistle a tune, and then I said, Dada, Dada. So, we have these families. Let me just draw this for you. So, my dad's side, they had 6. My mom's side, they had 9. 9 kids, and then each of them had their children. Let's say my dad had one child, and then I have 4. We are all family. They all had kids, and we are all family, one big family. Now my child is going to have another child. Again, the family is increasing. When we set people free, they become our children. Really, they become our children. And then you nurture them. They want attention in the beginning. Right, Linda? They want attention in the beginning. They want you. They need you. They're crying out for you. And you help them. It's a joy. It's a pleasure. And so what I'm trying to say is that it's not all about me. The biggest mistake the church has done is it's become a one-man show, where the one man has all the children. And everybody looks up to this one man. He has to do the feeding, he has to change the diapers, and he has to do everything. Like everybody looks up to him like, ooh, please feed me. And for years, what happened to this model? Where you have your own spiritual children, and then they have their own children. That's how we're supposed to be. That's the model that Jesus portrayed. He had 12 disciples. He trained them, expecting all of them to be like him, and who would train up others, who would set others free, who would set them free from the power of the enemy and bring them into light and help them grow. And when they have grown, they themselves have their own children. That's the model. But we have this model where it's all about this one man who's standing up every Sunday and who's feeding and teaching, and everybody looks up to this one man. It's a distorted view of Christianity, completely. But if each of them don't produce, you have a dysfunctional growth. There's no growth. So we need to produce. We need to have our spiritual children. But we are always going to be family. But unless you raise your children, how are we going to grow? We're always going to be, those attention-seeking kids. Oh, feed me, and do this for me, do that for me. I mean, I never knew that I had to give until I had a child. Like, it was all about receiving. Oh, okay, I'm happy. Everybody's giving. But when you have your own children, then you learn to give. You learn what family is like. And so really, I know Linda was wanting to honor me today. Actually, all this came out of that. She wanted to take me out for lunch and honor me. I said, and it was funny, she wrote at the end of her message, she wrote that, "Your faithful servant." I said, what is going on here? I don't want to be, to put on a pedestal. And I told Linda that. I said, I don't want to be put up on a pedestal. I don't want to be the man. I want all of you all to rise and raise your own families and build your people and help them, teach them to raise their family. That's when your work is complete. When I teach my daughter how to raise a child, and she does it, and she raises a family, and then all of my children do that, that's what brings greatest joy in me. And that brings fulfillment in your life. Sitting in church and just listening to me is not going to bring you fulfillment. We can do that, but that's not what's going to bring about fulfillment. You have to have your own spiritual children. You got to raise them up. You may not like it in the beginning, but that's how it is. But it's pure joy to do that. So let's turn to Romans chapter 12. Verse 4 onwards. Just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we who are many form one body, and each member belongs to the others. Each member belongs to the others? Have you read this before? Each member belongs to the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. If a man's gift is prophesying, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve. If it is teaching, let him teach. If it is encouraging, let him encourage. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Do you have a gift of encouragement? Okay. Anybody who doesn't have a gift of encouragement? Everybody has a gift of encouragement? Think so? Okay. Anybody who doesn't have the gift of prophesying? Okay. Okay, this a lot of people think that I don't have a gift of doing something, so I don't do it. Okay, I don't have the gift of giving, so I don't give at all. I don't have the gift of encouragement, so I don't encourage at all. I don't have the gift of serving, so I don't serve at all. Anybody in that boat? I don't have the gift of healing, so I don't heal at all. Okay, let me ask you something. What gift did Paul have? The Apostle Paul, what gift did he have? Ability to take money? Okay. I didn't expect that one though. We all have that gift, I think. Let me ask you this thing. What gift he didn't have? What gift he didn't have? Yeah. Okay, so he didn't have the gift of selflessness. Okay. When you look at Paul's life or any of the apostles' lives, you don't see them lacking in any area. I mean, they're prophesying, they're healing, they're giving, they're just doing everything, right? They're doing pretty much everything. I mean, if you look at the life of Jesus, he was doing everything pretty much. Life of Paul or Peter, they did everything. All the gifts mentioned. There's another list also in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. A big bunch. Here there's 7, there's 9 over there. Don't say that you cannot do something because you don't have the gift to do it. I'm going to say that again. Don't say, I cannot do this because I don't have the gift to do it. Because we have every spiritual gift in Christ Jesus. We may not be a specialist in something. Like there are specialists. There are people who have the gift of prophecy. They are specialists in that. That doesn't mean that you cannot prophesy. Okay? Everybody can. I mean, I don't have the gift of word of knowledge. But the other day I had this thing that I heard that somebody is hooked onto Excedrin for a long time and just say it and that person's going to be set free. I just said it. I mean, it just sounded crazy because I didn't even know what it was. And God woke me up with a dream the other day and it was for somebody over here. That's not my gift. But that doesn't mean that God is not going to use me in that area. Sometime back, I had one of my eyes, my left eye, when I woke up, was burning. And I didn't know why. I've never had burning sensation in my left eye, and it was just pretty bad. And I remembered somebody saying, if it's not your pain, it's for somebody else. And so I was in this church, and I was so hesitant to say it out because it just didn't sound sensible. But I said it. I said, there's somebody here who has burning in the left eye. And nobody came up. I said, oh, okay, man, this is bad. And then the worship leader said, no, there must be somebody here. I said, oh, okay, somebody has faith in me. And a lady puts her hands up, and she comes up to me and says, I wake up every morning with burning in my left eyes. I didn't even say that. I didn't have the courage to say, you wake up every morning with burning in your left eye. I just said, burning in your left eye. But this lady comes and says, every morning I wake up with burning in my left eye. And so we got to be sensitive to things. Like this thing about Excedrin, I mean, it just came into my head. It wasn't something, I didn't even know what it was. I've never heard of it. And it just came into my head, and I was like, what is this? So I'm looking it up. So just be sensitive to what God has for you. Each person has a gift. You have natural gifts, and you have spiritual gifts. Sometimes God gives you natural gifts as a gift. We see in the Old Testament, I think it's in around Exodus 28, where Bezalel was given a special gift to finish the temple. Like he was given special artistic gifts to finish the temple. It's natural, but it was given to him supernaturally. I believe my kids were given the gift to play music, supernaturally, to prepare, to help us launch this place here. Like the first day, we didn't know who was coming, who was showing up, but we had the worship team ready, all my kids. So God prepares people. He gives gifts to people. And what are the gifts for? The gifts are for the family. It's for the body. Each person working in unison with the other person to bring about what God has for the body. That's how we operate. That's how we should work. That every person do their part. And he uses the analogy of a body. The eye. What if the whole body were an eye? What if the whole body was Saji? It wouldn't work. What if the whole body were a year? He asked that question. It's not my question. It's there, right there in the book in Corinthians 12. What if the whole body were a year? Would it work? You have only hearing. I'm the guy with the hearing. It doesn't work. So we all need each other. And the Bible says that each person belongs to the other. Have you thought about it? Each person belongs to the other. Gary, you belong to me. And that's how we function. We have children, and we have children's children, and their children, but we all are one body. We all function as one unit. And that's the beauty of it. Okay, anybody has anything to share? Any comments? I just want you all to learn to love each other. Hey, you belong to me. You're family. And I have a function, I have a role to play. And we all function together. Some of you, the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the skin, and everything else. But we need to function together. That's how we can accomplish the purpose for which God has brought us here. And you're not here by accident. I'm not here by accident.